Today, our theme is sustainability and interpretation. We have a keynote speech, which I think will complement very well what we heard about yesterday. And this is followed by a panel discussion with two guests, which I'll introduce you to later. We have talks on interpretation and interpretation planning and interpreting nature. And this afternoon, we have a networking session and a speaker's corner and a meeting of certified members that will run alongside the speaker's corner. And we close the day again with Athena and a scavenger hunt. I think will be fantastic. Let's start with our keynote. Albert Salman is a sustainable tourism expert from the Netherlands. He had an academic background and worked in coastal and marine conservation and management. He set up the Quality Coast Awards program in 2007 and founded Green Destinations in 2014, which supports destination managers in 60 countries. He also co-founded the Future of Tourism Coalition, which Ben Lynan talked about yesterday, and he's done lots of other things which you can read about in his biography on the website. In his talk, Albert will introduce destination sustainability interpretation as an important concept and show some of the tools he has developed for it. Over to you, Albert.
Thank you, Peter. I will start putting on my stopwatch and sharing my screen. Let me see, this is the one I need to have. Can you see my screen?
Yep, I can see it very well.
Great. So I chose as a title, Do Heritage Destinations Need a Better Sustainability Interpretation? Nowadays, 85% of travelers, and of probably your visitors and my visitors, expect actually the holiday travel offer to be sustainable. That comes out of recent surveys, and that has increased over the last 2 years. So I guess that heritage destinations do want to become more sustainable, but the question is, how would you talk about that? How would you interpret that? And the term sustainability interpretation is actually new. I didn't even properly define it, but in my next 30 minutes, I hope to give you an impression of what I mean and how I think heritage destinations could go about with it. I found when searching Google with pictures about what is heritage, that heritage is probably as defined as sustainability, like it's not an official definition. So everybody would have their own idea of what is heritage. So can I just say, like my chair in my garden is heritage, or could I say that I'm sitting in a sustainable way in my chair in the garden? So this is heritage according to Google. This is sustainability according to Google. I mean, Google search. A lot of green, a lot of plants actually. And not everybody would agree with that, because maybe people think about climate these days and about environment a couple of years ago in general. When you search for what is sustainable heritage on Google, then you get this. And apparently I'm missing quite a bit of green. Now, this is only a joke, but I'll start telling you what I've been doing in green destinations. So we're a non-profit, as Peter already clarified. We're a global partnership with the headquarters in the Netherlands, and we have a certification system which is part of a destination and business support program, which is recognized and accredited by the Global Sustainable Tourism Council. We have created a community with 56 country representatives. So we cover quite a bit of the world. Some representatives cover several countries. We are working with 460 destinations so far over the last 6 years in our top 100 competition, and I'll tell a bit about that later. And we are working with almost 100 destinations in our awards and certification program. And the certification program is not only certification which requires you as a destination to comply for, let's say 100% or close to that, to quite a large number of criteria, certification criteria, which is actually very difficult to meet for many destinations. We also have an awards program. So it means that when you are on your way to sustainability certification as a destination, you don't need to be worried that it may take you 4 or 5 years to reach the certification level. But we have bronze, silver, gold, and silver and platinum award levels to actually give you an award for progress every year or every 2 years, but it needs to make progress. So that is an indication of what my approach to sustainability is. You actually are never sustainable because the sustainability concept is changing all the time. And the expectations and requirements to destinations, but also to businesses, is also changing. Making progress and working towards it is the most important thing in our perception. So it's rather a journey than a destination, this sustainability. This is a top 100 map of last year, in which we have granted and selected the sustainable destination stories of 100 destinations into this listing. So it's not an award. The top 100 program is a competition in which destinations that need a basic sustainability submit a story describing what they are doing and what they have done successfully in a particular aspect of sustainability. It could be waste, could be litter, could be water, could be energy, could be visitor management, could also be culture and heritage and visitor management, for example. So this is a mix of stories, and every year we are getting 100 new stories from this. So we have hundreds of stories that you can, some of them you can find on our website. This is the 100 is announced once a year, and actually the next one is going to be announced next week during our own conference, which actually means this Tuesday. And its selection is celebrated in different parts of the world. So there was a celebration last year in Thailand of one of the Thai destinations with a story that was selected in the top 100. We have online training programs aimed at destination management organizations, destination management leaders, practitioners, and stakeholders. And it's the idea next year, we'll hope to have it on site again, but due to COVID, it's only online so far. Training programs are on destination management, on how to tell your good practice story for the top 100 competition, reset and recovery, and destination awards and certification. Then we have a public travel website, the Good Travel Guide, which helps travelers finding destinations and businesses that are working towards a sustainable tourism. Not all destinations can get on it. You need to be meeting a minimum level of sustainability according to our criteria. So you need to have a silver award. In that travel guides, there's also maps for destinations that highlight where the good and responsible places to stay overnight, to visit, have food and drinks, also to go about. We have business certifications as well, several, and this one is the Good Travel Seal that we offer to small and medium-sized enterprises. business certification is in tourism not so well developed. Only 0.5% of businesses globally are certified. The advantage of this new system is that it facilitates for SMEs, which are not really covered by the big certification programs. So businesses in destinations can in this way show that they are contributing to sustainability. And the advantage of this system is that it's fully transparent, and I will tell a bit more about that later in my presentation. We have seen tourism developing from the 1950s, especially in Europe, as more and more towards mass tourism. We've seen rapid growth around the world, especially in emerging destinations later on. Ecotourism, wildlife tourism, and nature tourism have been booming, especially in that time, and are still very attractive to people. We have also seen an emergence of over-tourism, tourismophobia, and under-tourism more recently. And yeah, from the COVID, big question mark about what type of tourism we're heading towards. I'll try to tell a little bit about that. Many over-tourism cities want to get rid of their over-tourism, and sometimes, I must even say, often, over-tourism cities have actually caused over-tourism themselves, because they once said, "Oh, we want more tourism." Let's say I am Amsterdam, and come see us. And Barcelona and Venice have also promoted themselves so much that they regretted the over-tourism that they once had. And for them, the COVID crisis has been a time to contemplate how they would change their tourism in the future and make it more sustainable. Definitely, tourism has been trending towards domestic tourism, and for many destinations that has been the survival, especially in the global north, where there is a lot of travelers, that could prevent the tourism sector from collapsing, which is so Europe in that sense has been relatively lucky. In many places in other continents, especially Southern Asia and Africa, tourism has really collapsed. Now we're not really clear how that's going to develop over the next years. So many have been talking about, are we seeing the end of tourism? I don't think so, but we will have definitely a new sort of tourism, which may not be the same in different parts of the world. So this is indeed why 5 different NGOs decided to create the Future of Tourism Coalition, about which you have heard a lot yesterday. So I will not go deep into that, apart from repeating that these are the 6 organizations, so 5 plus green destinations, that by now have attracted 600 signatories who have endorsed the founding principles of the coalition. In the coalition, we're really aware that there is a number of global crises impacting tourism. I mean, it's air pollution. 9 million people around the world are dying from air pollution, and you won't, as a tourist, be very keen to end up there. We have a climate crisis influencing also the biodiversity crisis, and also influencing deforestation and bushfires. We have had an over-tourism crisis, which has been focusing on cities, but actually has moved to national parks, to natural heritage sites, and to green areas. So over-tourism has not disappeared. It has moved from cities to nature areas, especially iconic nature areas, due to the COVID crisis. Then there's also a waste and plastic pollution crisis, a diversity and equity inclusion issue, and a global inequality crisis. So together we want, with the tourism sector, and especially destinations and businesses, the members of the coalition want to work with them how to face these crises and how to make tourism a force for good in helping to resolve some of these crises. We want to redirect tourism growth from over-tourism and no tourism to sustainable tourism, go from losses to opportunities. And regarding the policy priorities that we think have to be chosen post-COVID, you have to think about the evolution of the demand, about health and safety, about digitization, about resilience and recovery, and about sustainability. Doing that is possible through enhancing destination management, strengthening and rebuilding sense of place, which is really connected to culture and tradition, prioritize communities over visitors, uphold quality over quantity. We shouldn't talk so much anymore about numbers of visitors, about how they behave and how they enjoy and how the destination benefits from visitation, and emphasize sustainability in each of these aspects. Going back to the title of my presentation about sustainability interpretation, I'd like to put a sort of this up. Like, interpretation, I think, is important for both heritage and for destination sustainability, whatever definition we give for interpretation, or for heritage, or for sustainability. Question is then, are heritage destinations sustainable destinations? I think many are, but not necessarily. If there's over-tourism, they're apparently not. And what is the benefit for destinations of adopting sustainability principles and practices? Now, that is a question that I hope I have talked a little about in the rest of my presentation, and I hope to get some thoughts through. So for us, BASIC is the Green Destination Standard, which has 75 criteria, which you can see as management principles, policy principles. The standard has been accredited by GSTC, as already said, and it has the criteria divided among 6 different themes. Which are these, and in which cultural tradition is definitely one of the 6 pillars, for us a really important one. Now, I've given some examples of these criteria, of these 75. I won't read them all of the 75, but the Green Destination Standard has, for example, in theme 1, destination management, that you need to have a system for visitor management. So you take action to manage the volume and the activities, to optimize impacts to assets and to values. That you need guidelines for appropriate visitor behavior, and you need indicators to monitor impacts from tourism. In theme 2, there's nature and scenery, which is part of heritage as well, I think. So destination needs to have a system to protect natural and rural scenic values and landscape degradation, and try to prevent urban sprawl into scenic landscapes. Under environment and climate, there is, of course, attention for reducing transport emissions, to have low impact mobility strategy, for example, promoting cycling and hiking, to identify risks and opportunity for climate change and adaptation to climate change. Theme 4, evaluate, rehabilitate and conserve cultural assets. Tourism is carefully managed to avoid negative impacts. Sales, trade and display of artifacts is regulated and enforced. Intangible cultural heritage is also thought to be very, very important. And tourism must be organized in such a way that it's sensitive and respectful to the living culture and to traditions. So what is a certification process? How do we go about with these criteria? And I've given you just a very basic sort of certification for starters. Is we have the certifier, which is, for example, us as Green Destinations. You have the destination, which could be a heritage destination. You have we hire an auditor, which is an expert independently, not employed by us, but just hired to do an audit and a check. And an auditor will decide actually whether a destination or a business complies or does not comply to a particular criteria, and he or she will do that for all our 75 criteria for the destination certification. So a destination needs to give evidence of compliance, written, but also sometimes in an interview, or else it will say then, okay, that's enough or not enough, and can have recommendations for actions. We could be, you have to improve your monitoring, or you have to do a visitor survey. Results of certification procedures is usually awards, which either have the bronze, silver, gold, platinum, or fully certified level on a certificate. And that's usually a nice occasion for mayors and vice mayors of tourism responsibles to celebrate that. We are the only certifier recognized and accredited by the GSCC who has a transparent certification, which means we don't just give a certificate and an audit report, which is only for the client, for the destination manager. We actually publish the result. So the result of the certification is public, is open, is there for all to see, which can really solve issues of greenwashing. I mean, there are definitely certifications also in tourism that you can buy. I mean, certifiers sometimes say, "Oh, do you want a certification?" And we can do that for you. And you can get a certificate with, and people actually don't notice whether it's a bronze, silver, gold, or a 1-star or a 2-star or a 3-star. But some certifications are given to businesses with more than half of these subjects would be on red. So they're probably, that's why they don't publish always their scorecards. And we are the only ones doing that for destinations. And also for our business certification. Now, this is the big one for the clients, and we are thinking about a more simple one for using on the internet in connection to these businesses for the visitors of our Good Travel Guide, because these, I think 40 are a bit too many to people to digest. Although people will perhaps look at the what's wrong in this place. So they only see one red bullet, which is it offers internships to local students. Oh, that's not a big deal. So they would still think that this is a wonderful tour guide company, actually, in Montana, USA. So with the results of certification, we are able to compare destinations for subjects that are interesting to travelers. So the overall sustainability, for example, we have here 10 destinations from the Netherlands, and they're all in this certification program, and we can compare them for, well, they're all healthy. They're not all equally well accessible. There's not all, some of them are a good nature choice, but not all. Some are really good for arts and culture. You can also see which is a safe place and a good place for beaches and swimming, for hiking, cycling, and also some destinations like Bonaire have diving. This is for Bonaire, the chart comparing businesses for travelers, for hotels on Bonaire on the same items. Like here, you can compare what the best choice is if you really want to travel sustainably and you are expecting a sustainable travel offer. This is the way to find destinations, and in that destinations, businesses that would best meet your interest in a sustainable and responsible way. Can every destination claim that they are a sustainable destination? Well, in principle, yes, because the definition is not protected. So everybody can say, this is my definition of sustainability. For example, if I have an electric bus system, I'm very sustainable. And if you have the biggest number of buses, then you can declare yourself sustainable destination. In this case, it's not that bad. I mean, I'm just kidding. This is the result of the Destination Sustainability Index of a couple of years, in which Gothenburg was #1. But it's not so transparent because it's not clarified what is exactly sustainable. It's an index. So it's an index also created from Scandinavia. So there is some destinations in Southern Asia there, but they're not on top of the list because much of the score of destinations depends on the country standards. Like, is it easy for a destination to meet particular things and do particular things? And that will apparently be easier in Scandinavia and Northern Europe than in many other places in the world. So I don't say that Gothenburg is not sustainable, but there is a particular thing about how you measure destination sustainability and how transparent is that. So there are roughly 3 ways that we do. So we also have indexes with a mix of indicators, but we don't use that globally. We use it only within one region or within one country, in which is easier to compare destinations because they have the same, let's say, country level, country standard. It is a combination of key performance indicators and the third, already clarified, certification with the policy principles. So we have criteria like principles, policy principles, that's really crucial for certification, and indexes and KPIs work with data, indicator data. For example, on wastewater treatment. So here we have some charts. So for Finland on top, you see that, for example, Finland has a 83% of wastewater treatment. And one particular destination that's participating in a program has the same. So that's good. That's really high. But is that easy for Fiskars? Probably easier than for Rogatska Slatina in Slovenia to reach 67%, because their national average is 56. Now, in comparing KPIs globally, internationally, but also in comparing indexes with a number of these indicators, it'll be clear that Fiskars Village will be the winner. But the question is whether that is fair. So we think that for KPIs and indexes, you always need to compare that to the country standard. And the country standard is well known because for many subjects there is global maps, and we publish also quite a few of them on our own travel guide, in which you can see the performance of, for example, this water subject over the world. We have compared the 3 systems that we have ourselves also, like the KPIs, indexes, and certification. We work with all 3 of them, and what the benefits of them are, so that clients can actually see, okay, what is actually best to use. In all cases, talk about transparency, about sector-wide recognition, about influence. I mean, to what extent is it influenced by country standard? Is it third-party audited? Is it does it have a long or a short reporting cycle? Is there a level? How expensive is it? How much time it takes? And is it easy to understand for the user? I would never recommend an index except when you really want to compare your destination with your reference destinations, your competitors in the region or in the country. And usually working with a limited number of important, let's say, key performance indicators is having several advantages. Let's say the green blocks are really the benefits of them, the advantage of them. And certification is also having well, it's globally recognized really by hundreds of experts after a consultation. In principle, it's not influenced by country standards. It's having an audit and is only reporting every 2 or 3 years, which is not annual, which can be quite a burden. So our indicator and index program is brought together now in the START program, which is support tools, which is an acronym for Reset and Tourism, which is structured more or less around the SDGs. So it's to kickstart your sustainability roadmap using the SDGs, but also the criteria of the coalition, and also the criteria of the sustainable, the GSTC. So it's a comprehensive, non-complex, efficient set of tools with 5, initially 3, but now we have 5 toolkits. Interactive assessments, which include certification, but also assessments which can be done without certification. Benchmarking and reporting, climate reset, destination sustainability assessments, and exchange education and learning. And I'll tell a bit more about each of them. Interactive assessments include all kinds of assessments using the GSC accredited criteria. You can do a rapid assessment in a couple of days. You can do a destination assessment in a couple of weeks or months. Can be on site, can be online. Destination award certification I've already clarified, and you can do a business sector scan to check actually for your business sector, what are they doing about sustainability aspects which are interesting for the travelers visiting that businesses. Benchmarking and reporting, we have 3 groups of tools, which is benchmarking and monitoring tools, which is including the regular destination monitoring tools to publicly report on that to visitors and also to residents, and sustainability dashboards. Few examples here. We have a destination level benchmarking report for a destination in the Netherlands, in which all kind of KPIs are sort of chosen by the destination to compare themselves with their neighbor destinations, and in the dashboard a summary is given of how the destination indeed it compares over time in these KPIs. And in this one we have I think used 20 KPIs. So destination monitoring can be done by combining indicated dashboards, for example, and at an annual basis, and destination benchmarking reports, which is a more extensive version, which could be done, for example, every 2 years or every 3 years. And in the same frequency, you can do destination certification if you want. You can also say, oh, I only do destination certification, and then you have to look at some indicators, some KPIs anyway. Or you only do destination monitoring and benchmarking. Only some destinations do both of them at the moment. The climate reset toolkit includes 5 different subsets. First, we allow you to calculate your destination carbon footprint. There is a way to help you make a planning on climate mitigation. There's tools to assess the climate risks that you have, from flooding, for example, heat waves, drought, coastal erosion, climate adaptation planning. So how do you adapt to those risks? And then the 5th one is how to make cities more green by creating a bigger infrastructure and by greening buildings. Sea level rise is a particular worrying impact globally, with the 2 degrees Celsius expected level of temperature increase. It's forecasted that we'll have a 2.5 meter sea level rise within this century, so maybe within the next 80 years. So this is over that time span. For at left is Guyana, coast of Guyana. We've calculated that for the tourism board of Guyana. What part of the Guyana coast where all the tourism is would be flooded, and at the right side it's Bangkok and the bay around Bangkok. So also part of a lot of the city and the tourism areas around it will be flooded. And it's not just that it's beginning 80 years from now; it's going to begin from now. So also in other aspects, we use spatial data, satellite imagery to help to inform assessments of destinations on sustainability aspects, related to land cover, waste, flooding, litter, land degradation, and we have other tools to learn more about that and enable practitioners to engage in training courses and workshops to make up their minds how they could be using sustainability principles and concepts and practices in improving their destination. So since the toolkit is a bit structured along the SDGs, so for each tool we say it's okay, it's part of toolkit A, B, C, D, or E, but it's also connected. It helps you making progress towards one of the SDGs, and it also helps you actually to make progress in the GSTC destination criteria. So we have now more than 40 different tools, which is many, and that will even be more in the future when we take on board more of the tools of the coalition members. So we have a discovery tool to help interested destination managers to find the most relevant tools for them. It's a free and universal tool, so it's no cost to do that, and you'll also get feedback for free. It can be done by every destination, and it helps identify the main strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities as well. So it's also kind of a self-assessment for each of the 17 SDGs. So you fill in the survey and you assess yourself, and you get a score for the SDGs and for each of them, and kind of a suggestion like, this is the top 5 tools that well, this is the survey, and here's the link. You can find, oh sorry, it's that's too quick. Where's my, so it's in the Green Destinations website, and it's easy to find. And the feedback that I was talking about gives you this this result of your self-assessment by SDG and the top 5 tools that actually come out of your own indication of interest in I want to learn more about this and this and this. So that's my presentation. Here is the Green Destinations website, and in there you can find more information, not only about certification, obviously, but also about this START program and about the free survey that I would recommend everybody to do, because it will take you an hour, but probably it's gonna give you quite some interesting suggestions about what you can do to engage more into the sustainability toolkit. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Albert. And I think I have some, no, I can't start my video. Okay, there we are. Okay, thank you. That's fantastic, and hugely interesting process that you have for certifying businesses and tourism operations.